This video is sponsored by War Thunder. You're going to die. This is the reality you face as the news reporter repeats the same sentence that made you shit yourself.
Yeah, it would appear there's a viral infection turning people into fucking zombies, and they're eating people, and they are definitely coming for you next. The infection seems to be most prevalent in Florida. Yeah, so if you live in Florida, you are F-U-C-K. Fucked. Who gives a shit? We're all dead.
Several thoughts scatter through your mind. Who do you call? Is this real? Which religion predicted this? Do I have enough food? Does this dude think he's busy? What the fuck? But soon there is only one question that rattles around your brain on loop.
Look at you contemplating all the different factors, but you forgot one thing to ask yourself. Aren't you a little bit curious? What kind of zombies are outside your house? Yeah, it ain't fun ones, I'll tell you that. Oh my god. I should call my kids.
This video did not come out of nowhere. As many of you know, I am completely obsessed with zombie culture, and this obsession has been there since I was a young kid. I always gravitated towards zombie media for one major reason, and that's that I kind of always wanted to know what kind of man I was deep down. I yearned for introspection, and the zombie apocalypse was a great avenue for this. I was always morbidly curious about what kind of person I would be if arguably the worst type of apocalypse happened in real time. Arguably the worst. I know we got some of the road watchers in here. If zombies started to rise up, would I have a fighting chance? Would I be a beacon of hope, or would I be a coward? I'm leaning towards the latter, but the most fun part of that question was, depending on what piece of fiction you were sampling from, that discussion varied wildly. Crawlers, walkers, infected, Zeds, Darkseekers, mummies, possessed, White Walkers, ghouls, and whatever the fuck Junji Ito created, cause oh my god. So I could never get a straight answer to that question. And while it was fun, it always left an itch in my brain I couldn't scratch. But what if we did get an answer to that question? What if we broke down each zombie apocalypse based on the lethality and danger of the infected themselves, i.e. their speed, their strength, if they have different variants of themselves?
Then we would move on to the R-naught of the virus, which is just a fancy way of saying how fast does this motherfucker spread and take over its host.
Then finally, the durability of the virus. Things like how long does it take, if they do at all, to starve to death? What is the location of the area they're based in? And how hard is it to just fucking kill them? I mean, like, do you have to shoot them in the head, or can you shoot them in the heart, and that works too? I mean, God knows many of us aren't even going to be able to pull the trigger. Once all of those factors are established, we will then give each apocalypse a case fatality rate, or a CFR. Pretty cool, huh? Well, it's actually not cool. It's just how many people are dead. There is not a single person on this planet that can give you a more well thought out and unhinged as fuck take on this matter. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, come back over here. You're right where you need to be, all right? Well, are you ready? Let's fuck. The Walking Dead will forever hold a special place in my heart. Even though I had stopped watching around the season 7 or season 8 mark, I still thoroughly loved my time watching this show. When the show first aired, I was 10, and I always thought back to those nights where I would sneak downstairs at Sunday night at 9 p.m. to watch AMC's new Halloween special. And my mom would catch me and she would tell me to stop doing that because I was 10 and this is not something a 10-year-old should be watching. Shortly after, I scored a 19 on the ACT. That is not a joke. My mom sent me to math camp like the weekend after. While I was hooked on zombie media before this show existed, I would be lying if I told you it didn't sink the hooks of addiction deep into my brain. If you remember what I was talking about earlier, about introspection, learning who you are, I loved this show so much because you got to live vicariously through the characters, and you got to linger with the decisions they made and the consequences of their actions for like 11 fucking seasons. I love zombie films so much. I'm telling you the truth. But you don't really get to marinate with the characters. 9 times out of 10, they're dead by the end of the movie, or they are just left on some cliffhanger ending, and you think, can't wait for the sequel. Sometimes they don't come out. Sometimes they don't come out. You get to think, which of these characters embodies me the most? For me, It's probably Noah, because everybody ate Chris. My sister won't speak to me anymore. So obviously, I have thought quite extensively about this apocalypse in particular. Now, many of you probably have a zombie in mind that would absolutely stomp the shit out of the walkers. And you're probably right, and we'll touch on those here in a second, and a lot of them, yeah, the walkers can't really hold a candle to them. But I would be willing to bet that you might be surprised at how fucking dangerous the Walking Dead apocalypse really is. Mainly for one reason in particular, which we will get to here in a second. But first, we gotta pay some bills. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. I remember when I was in high school and I would go over to my buddy's house and I remember watching him play War Thunder. And at the time I thought that game looked pretty damn cool. And upon revisiting it, it has only gotten better. War Thunder is the most in-depth and immersive vehicle combat game I have ever played. And the best part, this bad boy is free. I know you like free, which is good for me because I kind of blew all of my money on that 3D animation budget. Didn't even look that good. There are over 2,500 different ships, helicopters, tanks, and planes to choose from, all from 10 major nations. And they give the player a ton of freedom when it comes to what era of combat you want to play with. They can be the biplanes from the 1920s, or you can climb all the way up to modern day fighter jets. With incredibly detailed vehicles, authentic sound effects, and realistic graphics, you can't help but be immersed in this beauty of a game. The level of detail here is insanely impressive. Every vehicle is modeled down to the most intricate parts, and each one of those parts is susceptible to damage, which the game will tell you in a pretty insane mechanic called X-ray, I think. Not really sure. Looks cool though. Letting you know exactly which part of your vehicle requires immediate maintenance. And don't worry, you will not be alone. With a strong community of over 95 million players, you are bound to find a game mode that suits your appetite. If you want a more loose and fast-paced game, head on over to arcade mode. If you want that gritty realism, then you are gonna be a fan of simulator mode. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, I wish there was a happy middle ground, there is. It's called realistic mode. This game has a shocking amount of content. If you're even a little bit of a history fan, this game will satiate you. It will also do other things to you. Oh, no, sorry. It's just fun. It's just fun. Can I leave that in? No. Okay, I'll take it out. I'm not going to take it out. You can be on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, or even a mobile version of the game. That's insane. Now, I don't want to rush you, but this is only available for a limited time offer. For PC and consoles, if you're a new player or an old player that hasn't played in 6 months, use my links in the description or pinned comment to get the McSpoonz pack. But I know you want to get back to the zombies. I get it. What was the Hobbit saying? Who gives a shit? Here he is. But first, let's cover their strength and speed. How do they rank? Not the greatest. They're pretty slow and dumb as shit, but weirdly enough, they didn't start out that way. Early on, in like the first couple seasons of The Walking Dead, the walkers were kind of fucking fast. And also, hang on, let me check my notes. Oh, right, used fucking rocks? This is mainly because as the years went on, the bodies of the walkers started to decompose and break down, and they lost a lot of their agility and vigor. Or the new writers of The Walking Dead just didn't watch the show before they applied for the job. That's an equal possibility as well. And they also used to like hella aura farm. Like, do y'all remember this dude? Just this zombie, just staring Rick down. He had no interest in eating Rick. Every other walker wanted to rip him apart. This dude was just aura farming. This is never explained, and this never sat right with me. Now, even in later seasons, they're not a cakewalk. These things can easily overwhelm you because they travel in packs. One will bump into one, and then those two will bump into another. Now it's a group of 3. They'll bump into 3 more, and before you know it, you have thousands of these things, and they fuck everything up in their path. And they have maybe the strongest desire out of most of the zombies on this list, because once they lock onto you, they do not give a shit about anything else. All they care about is hunting you down and ripping you apart. But interestingly enough, they do have a little bit of mental processing power. If they feel like they cannot bite you, they can't eat you, and they can't infect you, they will simply not try. This is best showcased when Michonne cut out the jaws of the walkers, also cut off their arms, and they just kind of like stopped giving a shit. Didn't even get aggressive. Now, I'm not saying that's a strategy you should implement, because who the fuck is going to do that more than once? But an interesting weakness this zombie apocalypse has is A not so easy but readily available camouflage. If you have the stomach to cover yourself in undead zombie guts, and you better hope it's not going to rain, you actually can sneak through massive hordes without detection. Of course, you might catch some other kind of virus doing this. Doesn't seem to be the case because I don't think anyone's gotten sick from walker guts, but still, I wouldn't just fucking do that randomly. Now, if you're sitting there and you're still thinking none of this is a real issue, okay, you might be right. But you forgot to take into consideration the one scary aspect of this apocalypse. The scariest.
The spread and the R-naught. You see, just by existing in this universe, you are already infected.
Now, this does not mean you're going to turn. You either need to get bit by a zombie, and then I guess the added virus into your bloodstream will then give the current virus in your immune system the boost it needs to then reanimate. I don't know how the fuck it works. Or, in a much more disturbing way, if you die from anything other than head-related trauma, you will come back as one of these things. And then you join the army. You can plan everything perfectly fine, but you better hope you're not epileptic by the time the outbreak starts, because you get into a car accident, you then start eating people. I hope you're having fun, and I also hope you're not eating dinner right now. A virus that is airborne but lays in your system dormant, not the worst case scenario, it's just not the best. So while you may be safe from the active threats around you, you have a ticking time bomb in your immune system. So I would give The Walking Dead a 4 in lethality, not the scariest zombies, not the most threatening, a 7 in durability, they are somewhat tough to kill, and a 9 in virality. That's easily its strongest suit, which gives us a CFR of 6.66. Ooh, 'tis the season, huh? I will turn the TV off again. Listen, Hobbit man, if you did your research for even a second, you would know that the Darkseekers in I Am Legend are not zombies. They are vampires. I didn't realize I was watching a fucking moron. Also, I eat my own shit and I love Reddit. Yes. I know. The Darkseekers in I Am Legend can be argued as a vampiric virus rather than a zombie one. But I have 2 points to that. Number 1. No, the fuck they aren't. Zombies and vampires across the board have a very loose and ever-changing definition. Mainly because, get this, they're not real. And if we look at the Darkseekers, or the Deakies, for even a second, we realize that they are much closer in relation to the volatiles in Dying Light than they are Edward Cullen from Twilight. Are we gonna say that because the volatiles in Dying Light have a higher brain function, are also allergic to the sun, that they are all of a sudden vampires? No, we're not, Cankles, because that's fucking stupid. And my second point, if I am completely wrong about this and Will Smith himself comes up here and slaps the shit out of me, can we just be loose? Can we just have fun? Can you just go along for the ride with me, okay? Sorry I called you Cankles. That was not. You didn't deserve that. You do have them, though. This was the first zombie movie I ever saw. My dad told me that if I got straight A's this year, I could see I Am Legend with him. I did not, but my mom didn't want to see it with him, so he let me watch it anyway, and I shouldn't have. So, after rewatching it with the sole purpose of analysis, how is this one? Well, the Deakies are a real fucking problem. They may be the smartest zombie type on this list. Not a high bar, but they do clear it quite easily. Well, that's not true. There's one more we have yet to talk about. We'll cover that in a second. Now, I don't know if you would consider the Deakies to have different mutants of themselves. There really is just the alpha, the betas, and the dogs. I'll count it, because the dogs are scary as shit. If I saw the Darkseekers in action leap over an SUV and then proceed to unleash zombie dogs at their disposal, I'd kill myself. They are 100% a dangerous threat. But they aren't. That's right, I alluded to it earlier, but they burn to death in the sun. Me too, bro. I'm Irish, and I catch on fire. Not even necessarily sunlight. It could be UV radiation in any form. It kind of makes you think that, was Dying Light, when they were creating the design of the volatiles, did they, recently watch I Am Legend? They even kind of look similar? Nah, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just talking shit. So that means they go from easily the worst fucking problem that mankind could handle to not an issue at all. But that gives you what? half a day. But even if you are prepped and as jacked as Dr. Robert Neville, the virus is airborne as well. That is a quick and easy way to make this discussion no longer interesting. Because you're dead. The R0 of this virus may be the most aggressive out of this entire list. We'll touch on others here in a second, but I'm willing to put money on the fact that this apocalyptic zombie virus, not only being airborne and infecting humans, but also some animals, might be at the top. Sorry. This bitch gets in your stomach and then other people get in your stomach. So with a 9 in lethality, a 7 in durability, because while they are fast and very agile, you could shoot them in the lungs or the heart and that would kill them. But like, good luck, because they dodge bullets. And I'm going to give the first 10 of the video to this zombie apocalypse's R0, the virality. Yeah, this shit is curtains. Curtains. Can we move on now? Okay. Whoa, I'm sorry. I'm yelling at you. I got other stuff going on and I'm taking it out on you. Sorry if this upsets you, but 28 Days Later is hands down my most favorite zombie movie to date. This was the first zombie movie to genuinely terrify me, and no other zombie film has even come close. There's a scene in the first movie where Jim goes to the church, there's a mountain of dead bodies, he calls out, hello, and like 4 of them pop up with their mouths just open. They don't screech, they don't make a sound, they just look at him. And I think about that scene once every 29 days. Fuck you, I'm not saying that. And after rewatch, the movie did not lose its edge. In fact, it kind of brought a bit of a harsh realization that maybe I no longer cared about introspection. Yeah, maybe I don't really want to know who I am as a man. But I will not let favoritism get in the way of my ranking, because I don't really need to. This shit is fucked. Other than being allergic to sunlight, they have the second biggest weakness that this virus has to face. And it's a pretty crazy exploit. But firstly, let's tackle the main topic. What is their speed and strength? I would say the zombies in 28 Days Later are weaker than the ones in I Am Legend, but definitely stronger than the ones in The Walking Dead. Faster too. And they can move around during daylight. Now, this is a bit of a loose theory, but we know that they can starve to death. So I would imagine while they can go at an all-out sprint, they do run on calories, and they need sustenance to survive. We actually can see a couple scenes of zombies chasing after people, and then when they realize they can't catch up to them, they just fucking give up. Because the weirdest part about the zombies in this outbreak is their motive. They don't really care about eating despite needing to. They just want to beat you to death. The virus is called the rage virus. How fitting. But basically, the zombies, they will bite because they know that inflicts pain, but if they feel there's another way to inflict even more pain, they will do that. They will gouge your eyes out and just punch you to death without chewing on you once. But as scary as this shit is, and it is very scary, I need to ask you 2 questions. And depending on how you answer these 2 questions, this zombie apocalypse is a nothing burger to you or literal hell on earth. Are your animal rights activists dumb as shit? And do you live in England? If you answered yes to both of those, you're fucked. That's because this rage virus has such a fast incubation period. It takes literal seconds for you to turn. So in a vacuum, the R0 would be like a 10, but that's the biggest weakness this zombie has to face. Because the incubation period is so small, the area of infection is literally just England. Because these zombies can't get on a plane, they can't get on a boat because they're gonna turn and everyone's gonna realize they're a zombie and either not let them on or all get infected themselves, and that boat and plane goes nowhere. But I will say, this virus is a little unpredictable. I can't make truly accurate depictions because we're getting the sequel to 28 Years Later, but I'll do my best. We know that the infected from 28 Days Later eventually did starve to death. They ran out of things to eat, and they stopped moving, and they just kind of died. And then the apocalypse was essentially over. Cut to 28 weeks later, there's a reignition of the infection in England again. Sorry, Brits. So really, with this one, only the Brits are fucked. What do you like? You want some more beans on your toast? we do still have more gun violence. And after Ground Zero 2.0 happens again, the virus changes a bit. We don't know this for a while, but when we cut to the third movie in the series 28 years later, we know that the zombies are still around. They haven't starved to death like they typically do, meaning they now understand the importance of eating. So if they can't eat people, which they rarely can because everyone's on like a secluded island or some shit, they start eating like worms, and I imagine other animals. So the durability has gone up since the reignition. And also they get a new trait of just having the largest cock I've ever seen in my life. This makes it hard to gauge the durability a bit, but I would say if we break it all down, they have a lethality score of 7, an R0 score of 2.8. Unless you live in England, then it's a 10. It's a 10 and you should just give up. And a durability of 5. 6? No, 5. Giving us a respectable CFR score of 4.9. If you live in England, it's a 9.2. Sorry again to the Brits, but fret not, my English brothers and sisters. There is one apocalypse that you would have the advantage in. You guys might be okay on this one. Shawn of the Dead is, yes, I got a haircut. It's been a while recording this, but now you can't call me a hobbit anymore. I know you still will. Shaun of the Dead is an amazing movie, and it is honestly one of my favorite films of all time. Much of this film's humor inspired me directly, and a lot of the jokes said in this film have latched onto my brain and have never left. The way this film seamlessly goes from a pretty enjoyable, funny film to a rather intense thriller is a tone shift I have never seen matched on any other level. I say all this, and I give my respect and flowers to Shaun of the Dead because what I'm about to say may come across as disrespectful. When it comes to a zombie apocalypse, we're dog walking this shit. This is baby mode easy. When I rewatched this film with the pure focal point of analyzing how deadly the zombie outbreak was in this movie, I have to say, how did anyone die? The zombies are slow, dumb, and spread incredibly slowly. Not only will they wait to attack for comic relief, but you can bypass all of them simply by pretending to be one of them. And not even convincingly, might I add. You can kind of phone it in with the performance. As long as you don't answer a phone call in the middle of a horde like some dipshit, you will be fine. To be honest, you can just kind of walk around at a rather brisk pace and wait for the military to show up and just destroy all of the zombies in this town, which is exactly what happens. You literally just have to wait for all of this to blow over. Really? That's where you draw the line? I'll kill you with a gun. And if you do in fact get infected, not only is that embarrassing as shit, but you can still kinda have an okay life after you're zombified. Now, if I'm being completely fair, these zombies can pose somewhat of a threat, especially when they're in hordes of like hundreds to thousands. And if you're staying in one place, like a bar, they can absolutely swarm you and destroy the walls outside and close in on you. But again, all you have to do is pretend to be one of them, and you're fine, which no one in this film does after realizing that that strategy does in fact work. I don't know if the jig is up and the zombies just like know who you are. I doubt it, because again, they're dumb as hell. Now, given that the incubation period is pretty long, in fact, we've seen one of the characters get bit and it takes a full day for them to turn. This is more of a concern than the other apocalypses I mentioned because yeah, someone can get bit and then travel across the planet and then start ground zero all over again. But that ground zero is still not that difficult to deal with. Even if one of them was in the room with me right now, I could just kind of slowly back away and they will just not really pursue me that hard. It's not airborne. From what I can deduce, you can only get infected via bite. Maybe there's some other background lore that I don't know about. Again, if you're new here, I rarely do research on any topic I cover, but we're like approaching the 20-minute mark and you're still fucking here. But even with that taken into account, I just don't see this apocalypse being a problem at all. This apocalypse has a lethality score of 1, a durability score of 2, and an R0 score of 3, and a really funny score of 10, giving us a CFR of 2. Yeah, honestly, it's good we covered this one because it was so easy, because the next one may be the worst fucking outbreak on this list. Obviously, as you can tell, I don't read that much. But the books I have read typically are zombie books. What can I say? I have an actual zombie problem. I should read more that aren't related to zombie media, but I just can't stop. So after I watched World War Z, I have to say I really liked it. I liked it so much so that I actually found out that it was based off a book and decided to read the book. And I am so glad I consumed these pieces of media in that order, because holy shit, the movie sucks on retrospect. The book and the movie have literally nothing in common. Brad Pitt's not in the book. The book takes the perspective of like 40 different people. It takes place after the apocalypse. The zombies are super slow in the book, whereas, as we'll find out here in a second, in the movie, they are anything but. And from what I can deduce, the only two factors they have in common is the name and the origin of the virus, I think. I should reread the book, but that's a bit more of a tasking challenge than watching a movie. The zombies in the books are not a cakewalk. In fact, it brought us to almost extinction, but we were able to fight back because they were kind of slow and easy to outsmart. The zombies in World War Z can be more easily compared to ants. If you want a more thought out script, you might want to find a different YouTuber. They will climb over one another to vault buildings, and they are fucking relentless. They are insanely fast and have excellent scary timing. They almost have some weird form of innate communication with another, so they will typically bundle up by the thousands. So unless you're an expert marksman with a drum magazine, and even then you probably don't have a shot, you are dead as hell within an hour. But that's not even the scariest part about these dudes. The freakiest, most unsettling part about these zombies is their motive. The zombies on the list we've covered so far either want to beat the shit out of you till you're dead, eat you and devour you and repeat the cycle, or find their lost loved one. Oh my god, they're vampires. Oh fuck. Not the zombies in World War Z. These guys are literally all about business. All they want to do is bite you once, infect you, and move on. They have no interest in devouring you, no interest in dismembering you. They literally just want to spread the virus as fast as possible, and that is unsettling. Bite, infect, repeat. And the infection takes seconds before you turn into a zombie. Of all the zombie viruses we've covered, these are the only ones that act like an actual virus in human form. And given that the infection takes seconds for you to turn, this is where we enter a bit of a conundrum. Because despite having a very short incubation period, this virus managed to spread across the entire globe, which I feel like I'm fighting the writers here a little bit, because if someone were bit, they're not gonna have time to hop on a boat, a train, a car, or a plane to travel to a different country. People are gonna know that you're turning into a zombie almost immediately, and you're not gonna be permitted transportation anywhere, which is always why I found it so fascinating that someone got bit, hopped aboard a plane, after they got on the plane, then went to the bathroom, and then turned into a zombie. And they did it very quietly, might I add, and they just waited till the perfect time to jump scare the shit out of you. In real life, this doesn't make sense, and 28 Days Later tackled this very conundrum perfectly, because they just said, yeah, the virus can't spread anywhere past the island. Literally only England is infected. So if we're looking at this from a realistic perspective, really the only area of concern is where the infection took place and the surrounding countries. And given that we know the infection started in China, it would spread to only, oh my god, that's fucking half. Well, sorry Asia and Europe. And if they can swim even a little bit, then Africa, you're also fucked. I'm sorry. England, you're safe though. So hey, you get to sit one out. You earned it. You were kind of taking a beating there for a second. Mate, little bit of Italian crumpets for you. A bibbity bobbity getting on it. But the incubation time is not this zombie's biggest weakness. The biggest weakness here is that these zombies absolutely require a healthy host. If you are already sick, either terminally or just have a cold, the zombies aren't gonna fuck with you. So if you can plan a defense and you fill the front lines with people with like strep throat or some shit, they will essentially have a temporary camouflage against the infected, and they can just kind of mow them all down, which we see at the end of World War Z, kind of setting up a sequel. That it should be coming out any day now. Because of that, it brings us with a lethality score of 7, and R0 score of, since technically it wouldn't go through the world, but it would be damn near close, I would also say a 7. And a durability score of 4, because them as they are rather tough to kill. I'm not arguing that, but again, my immune system hates me as much as this guy does, so if I get sick as often as I do now, I might be all right. And this leaves us with a CFR score of 6. Koreans know how to make some amazing fucking zombie movies. I would know because I was born in Seoul, Korea. That's actually not a joke. I actually was. I came late to the zombie Korean media zeitgeist, and I will forever be angry about that. And with Train to Busan, I was also late to this train. Which is also weird because it has one of my favorite actors of all time in the movie, Ma Big-dong-suk. That's not his actual name, but it might as well be. If I were judging a zombie apocalypse with the idea that we are all Ma Big-dong-suk, then no zombie apocalypse would ever be a threat to us, because this guy's a fucking monster. This dude just fucks. Look at the way he stands. You could tell he just fucking puts it down. The Train to Busan zombies operate, I would say, very similar to the Walking Dead zombies, but just juice to the tits. They can sprint, they're very strong, and they have the motive of just wanting to eat you. They operate in strange ways. They kind of will either hibernate and just kind of stand still until there's some kind of visual stimuli. And the visual stimuli is important because another weak part of these zombies, if they can't see you, they literally have no interest in motor function whatsoever. You can kind of cover their head with a tarp and they'll just kind of like stand there and freak out a bit, and you can kind of get away. Now, they typically bundle up in the thousands, so I hope you have a lot of tarps, but it's still something to take into account. All you have to kind of do is turn off the lights, and if you can stomach it for a little bit, you might be all right. There's no forethought or planning to these bad boys. It's simply just kill, 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 but they are quite motivated. We see them just climb on top of each other, and they've got by far the strongest grip strength out of any zombie I've listed here, with the exception of maybe one. But still, there were like 3 zombies holding onto a train with hundreds of other zombies attached to them, and they still couldn't kick them off for like minutes. That's insane. Now, the spread of the virus is pretty limited to Korea. I could be wrong about that. It's been a long time since I've seen this film, and I didn't have the streaming service available to rewatch it, so this is all from the old dome. So I would give the zombies in Train to Busan a lethality score of 8, a durability score of 7, and an R0 score of 3, giving us an average of... I didn't write it down, and I'm not good at just quick averages like that. Look, if we're being honest with one another, we're not really surviving any of these, except for Shawn of the Dead. But that's not really the discussion I wanted to open up here. I wanted to know which of these apocalypses have the strongest argument for you to die versus the weakest argument for you to die. And at the top of the list of most fuck shit that there's no chance of survival, it's got to be I Am Legend. I mean, this one is insane. Sure, they can't come out during the day, but they will hunt you at night. Not like you better not be out in the street during nighttime, like they'll just rip houses apart looking for you. I started this video with the sole goal of wanting to find out what kind of man I was, and it spiraled into this fun video idea, but I just don't think that's that healthy. And once I kind of realized that midway through filming, I kind of started to look at all these zombie films with a different lens. And that lens was just sit back and enjoy the show, idiot. And I gotta say, I have loved these movies even more. Without the added pressure of figuring out what decisions I would have made, I can just kind of be a backseat driver and just let the characters do what they're gonna do, and I don't really think about how I would interact with the apocalypse like I used to. There are a ton of zombie apocalypses I wanted to cover, but as you can see, this video is getting kind of long. Dawn of the Dead, Army of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. There's gotta be more. But a lot of the other zombie movies, those zombies kind of blend together, and I think they can be represented rather fairly with the other examples I listed in this video. Army of the Dead being somewhat of an exception because are these fucking things robots? If you've never seen Army of the Dead, I'm not saying you do, but you just seeing this, you're going to be kind of confused because there are zombies that get shot in the head and like sparks and wires pop out, and it is never once addressed, period. Don't make any sense. It is a lot of dumb fun. I like Zack Snyder when he's all about style over substance. Sue me. Again, thank you so much to War Thunder for sponsoring this video, and don't forget to sign up and play the game for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile. And don't forget to use my links in the pinned comment or the video description. Remember, new and also returning players that haven't played in 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack across PC and consoles, including multiple premium vehicles and other good shit available for, and I have to stress this, a limited time only, so make sure you don't miss out. There are so many other better zombie games out there too. Ones I haven't even played, but I just keep playing DayZ like a fucking troglodyte. And I need help.